Welcome
to the J&O Show.
We talk about
things that we were never told. I'm Jay.
And I'm O.
And now you know.
If you guys are new to our channel, please make sure that you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Make sure you turn on your post notifications so you can know when we upload, because you never want to miss an episode. Alright, so today we're actually just going to jump right in. We're picking up where we left off from our last episode where we were talking about why black men ain't ish. Okay? So one of the things that Jay mentioned that I wanted to actually bring up was he was talking about the whole cheating aspect.
Indeed.
Right? So he was saying that he can understand, like, you know, if a man cheats one time or a woman cheats one time, where you might be able to kind of maybe
that depends on you and them. But
I was like, Now this is a double standard, because I don't know, I find that whenever women cheat, men be like deuces. There's no 9 out of 10 times it's not let's work this out, what happened, men be out. But when it comes to men cheating, women are the more forgiving. Okay, we'll take them back in, and it's almost as though it's expected of us, like we should.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't.
I don't, but you know,
I feel like it's almost more expected, or let me rephrase, I feel like it's more acceptable or more expected for a woman to take a guy back if he cheats. It's just like, okay, well, yeah, I know it's hard, but you know, your options out there is kind of slim, and you know, these are the different things that are talked about when it comes to whether or not we should be okay with them cheating. And it's like, while I understand certain pieces of that to a certain extent, it's a double standard. It's not right, because
it's not really a double standard, I don't think.
You don't think it's a double standard? How's it not a double standard if it's more acceptable for men?
It's not really acceptable. It's not about being acceptable, I would say. I think it's decisions. Men decide. Men aren't so, what's the word I'm looking for? Men are not so beat to be in a relationship that they'll allow certain things to pass. And women are more desperate to be in relationships. Also, our society was, because it's really rapidly changing, set up in such a way where the men were earning. So if the woman, a lot of times the woman was encouraged to stay so that she can be taken care of.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's more encouraged for the woman to forgive and forget.
But that's first of all, that's rapidly changing, but that has always been a decision. The decision to stay after someone cheats rests solely on the shoulder of the person who was cheated on. If you and I'm not gonna pass the buck, like I'm not justifying cheating in any way, shape, or form, but you as an adult make the decision whether you're going to stay or go, regardless of what anybody thinks. And the thing is, men are not, they are more willing to be alone. Men are more willing to be alone. Like, that's it. Like, I don't trust you anymore. It hurts too much. I'm out. That's it. And we're willing to be by ourselves for a while, or to just get back in the dating scene immediately. Whereas women will sit there and be sitting in that emotion, and then they'll be like, I can't let it go. I can't let it go. That's a decision that's up to the women to make. Like, we can't make that decision for you. And I personally believe that you have to be held responsible for what decisions you make. So if women overwhelmingly decide to stay in relationships where the men are cheating, that is not something that men control. That's something that women control. Now, if you want to speak to, girl, get up out of there, it ain't no need of you taking and dealing with that, that's cool. Like, I'm all for that. I mean, because I think that there does have to be a certain level of self-esteem in the women where they just won't put up with certain things.
Right.
You know? But outside of that, though, men can't take blame because women stay and that they leave. Like, we can't take it, so we leave. Y'all feel like y'all want to try it again, so you stay, you know. And I think that's just sort of what it is. That's just me.
Yeah, I mean,
I love it when we disagree, though, because it makes the show more interesting. Go ahead, get your points.
No, I was gonna say, I mean, and you're right, but I guess, like I said, I just feel like, I guess the best word is, it's unfair that women are just more willing to try to stay and work things out than men are. But like you said, I guess the reason being is because men are just not necessarily beat to be in a relationship.
Not in general. So the general rule of thumb, this is something I heard recently, which is actually, the more I think about it, the more true I find it. So maybe we'll get some other information from y'all, and y'all be able to let us know if it's something different. But it seems, what you was about to say? She was about to say something. She was about to say something. She stopped.
Yeah, it's okay. If you guys are getting value, go ahead and give us a thumbs up.
Indeed.
Drop us a comment and let us know.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
No, so it seems as if, in general, men tend to hold the keys to relationships. So the men are the ones who decide whether or not you and your partner are actually in a relationship. At most, so at most levels, men tend to be the ones who decide whether or not the relationship is going to progress. So we are usually the determiners of relationships. Women determine physicality. I was looking for a good word there. Women determine physicality. They determine how often and how and in what way, right? And so because of that, in a lot of relationships, the guys aren't necessarily, usually it's the woman who wants to be moving to the next level all the time. But that's part of their clock. Because our clock has a lot more years on it than your clocks do. So you usually want to go faster than we do. Unless we're fortunate enough to be one of those guys, like I said, who already has things set in their 20s. That's so rare.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, don't start setting up your lives over what people who are less than 1% of our population are doing. Like that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So we didn't even get to our next thing, but we were just talking about the cheating part.
Yeah.
So make better decisions. I don't know what else to tell you about that. Be okay. I mean, ladies, be okay with being alone. I'm serious. Be okay with being alone. Also understand for a lot of women doing the independent thing, there is a such thing as relationship IQ. And what that basically is your ability to be in a relationship. Make sure that when you're like in between dating somebody seriously, or as you're getting, yourself ready to be in a married, committed relationship, that you're upping your relationship IQ. Same thing with guys. Pay attention to the things that are happening in the relationships that you do have. And pay attention to the things that are happening repeatedly. And take note of those things so that you can start to change if they're giving you negative results. Like, that's relationship IQ. Like, paying attention to what you tend to do in relationships and fixing it. Like, that is a thing. All right. So men don't commit, we did last time. Now, we already 8 minutes into the video. We got to make a whole nother thing, because she done talked about double standards, lies. Men, stop putting yourself in situations where you feel like you have to lie.
This is true.
If you feel like you have to lie, don't put yourself in a situation. And that's one way to avoid. Because sometimes, everybody gets in situations where they feel like they have to lie, even if it's a little teeny white lie. Telling, you were supposed to go and visit your parents this weekend and you really didn't want to go in the first place, and you trying to figure out a way to get out of it. Like, that's a lie. Don't put yourself in situations where, like, seriously, just be honest with people. And I would say don't let people put you in situations where you have to lie. Like, just be straight up with people. If they're the type of person that's gonna be mad if you have a life of your own, let them be mad. Yeah. I'll be honest with you. It's better than lying to them about stuff. Like, it's just way too much. And if they cause a whole lot of drama, then you maybe need to keep them at a distance. It doesn't matter how close of a family member they are.
This is true.
So anyway, let's see if we can get through at least one of these points in the next 10 minutes. I can't hold down a job or make enough money. Why men are trash? Because they can't hold down a job and they don't make them enough money. That actually is part of a whole nother thing about and especially in our community.
We touched on that in the other episodes of this series. We kind of touched on these topics.
Sorry, this face is because the battery light started switching. I'm just like, are you serious? Are you serious right now? Anyway, okay, we're just gonna come back. I'm gonna just stop it now and come back.
2,000 years later.
Okay. So as I mentioned, we kind of touched on the issue with black men as far as securing the bag or having a job in our first video of this series. So to kind of give you a brief overview, but to get more details, you want to go check out that video. But pretty much that boils down to our history and what happened with us as a people when it comes to slavery and how our men were emasculated. But yeah, if you want more details on that, check out the first video in this series, which I will link in the description to this one here.
Yes. So I would say my biggest thing to my brothers, man, believe in yourself.
Yes.
And seek out purpose. Those would be the two things that I would say for the guys who have issues keeping a job, have issues finding a job, who don't make a certain amount of money and find it hard to get off your feet. Because a lot of people just think, oh, you just lazy. Oh, you just this. And oh, you just that. And it's more than that.
Yeah.
It's because a lot of these guys don't believe that they can. They think the American dream is a lie for us. A lot of them feel like the American dream was only for white people. And let's just be honest. The intention of it, and especially many, many years ago, yeah, the intention of the American dream was not for us.
Yeah.
But now we've gotten to a point where you can, despite everything, achieve what you dream. And the key to your purpose is in your dreams. Find out your talent, work to perfect your talent, work to master it, and then, you know, basically use that talent to earn you the money or the means necessary to take care of yourself, and if you want a family. That is all I can really say to that, because it all boils down to that. All of the guys that I know or have been around that can't hold down a job and can't, you know, get off their feet or get things together or whatever the case may be, is because they don't have any real goals.
Right.
And they're just sort of meandering through life and just letting life beat them up. And they're getting more and more discouraged as time goes. And it doesn't help when the people around them are beating them down too. And the real issue that a lot of people don't understand is lack of purpose, lack of goals, not believing that you can overcome the system that we are in.
Right.
And you can. Yeah, I'm not saying that you're all going to be millionaires, because statistically it just ain't going to happen for most of us. It just is. A lot of us don't want to do what's necessary to be rich. It's more than just being good at something. Like, some of the best people and things in any particular field are not necessarily rich. You don't think that there was possibly a basketball player that was better than Michael when Michael was doing what he was doing? It probably was. He might have got injured, you know, or maybe he just never thought. You know what I'm saying? Mike himself would tell you, before he was Michael Jordan, he knew a lot of basketball players that were better than him. You know, so please understand that what you make of your life is something that you control. And when Kanye West came out with the song, I Am a God, like, that's what he was talking about. You are the God of your life. You were given the ability to make decisions and the tools to do it. One of the biggest keys to success is people. So even if you have the tools, if you're terrible with people, you probably still might not make it, just because you push people away who are able to help you.
Right.
So those are the things, you know, you have to engage the people around you to help you. Or if you have a crowd of people who are crabs in a barrel, then you got to find you another crowd.
Facts.
And these are things that we all as men can do. The whole men can't hold a job, can't get a job, don't know how to, all of that stuff, even the committing thing. A lot of that are decisions that we can make, but if you're not on purpose, man, all of that stuff is going to be off. All of it. And I know this from experience because I was one of those guys. Yes, I was able to hold down a job, but I was working, you know, I was working with my dad in his business. Like, he was going to make me go through a lot. He will fire. Trust me, he would have fired me. He fired my brother. And he fired people that you didn't think he would fire. Like, he didn't have a problem firing you behind. And if I wouldn't have moved a certain way, he would have fired me too. He did not play that. You couldn't get up there and play with his business. But I was a guy without any direction, like, for a long time. So I understand what it's like to feel like you can't. It's not made for you. It's not meant to happen for me. And I'm going to tell you, if you're in a crowd of people who are telling you that, man, get out.
Yeah.
Get out of that crowd and start hanging around some new people. You can do it, and it doesn't mean that you have to go and be out here doing illegal things, and that's the only way you can get by. That's a lie too.
Yeah. Changing your atmosphere, your mindset, because it's really in the mind, but
Yep.
your atmosphere plays a whole lot in that. So if you are in a negative environment, if you're just around a lot of negative people or people who can't see beyond their block, then you need to find new surroundings. You need to surround yourself with new people, point blank period.
Yeah.
And it might be hard because the people that you surround yourself with, it could be family. And that's difficult because it's like, yo, it's my family. But at the same time, you have to do what's best for you. And hopefully by your family seeing you kind of take a different route and they're like, yo, look at such and such, you know, we came from the same household, but look, they're actually doing it. You could be that light that helps to spark, you know, the light for the rest of the people in your family. You could be that person that breaks generational curses, you know, and helps get your family from moving from living in the quote unquote hood to be able to move now to the suburbs just because of that mind switch. That's everything. Mind switch is everything.
Yeah. So even though I guess everybody was like, yo, thought we would go and start kicking dudes back in for not being able to hold down a job and stuff like that, it's just more reasons. And that was actually one of the benefits of the whole independent women movement, is that it got women out of that the world isn't made for me to succeed and into the mindset of I can do anything I want as long as I'm willing to bust my butt for it. The problem is that independent woman thing didn't happen for the men at the same time. And so the men were sort of left there like, no, the world is against me. And, you know, the life, you know, it ain't meant for me. And anybody who's successful is, you know, they all devil worshiping. They sacrificing their family members. Everybody who's successful is, no, they believed in themselves. Some of them was out there doing some wild stuff. Yeah, some of them was letting people do some wild stuff to them because they would do anything to be successful. And, well, you know, they little, yeah. But guess what? Some of the people who are successful just really worked hard and they believe they can do it. Instead of putting all that negative energy out there, they put out positive energy, and the positive energy came back to them. How you treat people, and one huge key to success is network.
Yes.
Not just we were saying get around some positive people, but if you are able to put out positive energy and make people want to be around you, they're going to start bringing opportunities to you. If every time they see you, you're giving them negative energy, they're not. Yo, I have this opportunity at such and such a place. I thought of bringing him, but every time I see him, he like, then he's always complaining, or he always doing this and that. They're not gonna give you the opportunity. I couldn't even tell you how many times I've seen people get great jobs where they like double their salary based on somebody getting them the job. Not because they worked for it, not because they had the education, but because somebody got them the job. That's networking.
What they say, your network is your net worth.
Yes, like that is huge, guys. So as far as the whole not being able to get yourself into a position where you will be able to take care of family, that I know women do complain about that with men. I would say to a lot of the men out there who are in that position, yo, if you are super negative, bro, like you're kicking yourself.
Yes.
You are kicking yourself. And I know that I was there too. So it's just like, you know, this is from somebody on the other side of that thing who's coming out and seeing how people react to you being in a more positive space, man. It actually is not bullshit. Because I used to think it was.
Real?
Yeah. I was like, yo, man, here goes somebody else with this positive bullshit, all of this motivation, man. The world ain't that happy. The world is da-da-da. No, the world has both good and bad. Nobody has perfect days, great days all the time. Nobody has terrible days. There's something to, like, yo, there are great days and then there are terrible days. And sometimes they come back to back. And your ability to stay on a certain level through all of that stuff, you know, if people like being around you, they're gonna try to put you in situations to be successful. Right. So, and then there will also be haters, just for people who know that. Yes, there will be haters, but that's the negative energy. Right. That's where the negative people come from, the negative energy. So that's one thing that you can decide on yourself. So for me, when it comes to that part, I just want to put out some positive stuff. Like, don't believe the hype, bro. You are better than you think you are. You can do more than you think you are. And a lot of that stuff about you not being able to is a lie.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
So I'm done.
Well said.
Yeah. I left my wife with a lot of editing, guys. So I have to apologize to her on camera because
He always does.
these videos, oof, yeesh.
But anyway, I think that's gonna wrap this episode up. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Again, drop us some likes if you are enjoying our content and let us know so that way we can continue to provide you more. And also make sure you leave us a comment below and let us know what your thoughts are, or if you have ideas for show topics, definitely let us know by writing #NextShow in the comment section so we can bring you more of what you want. All right, but that's gonna do it today. That's gonna do it for today. All right, but till next time, deuces.
Press the off button.